welcome back. How you guys doing? It's the Jack and Jared Show. It is June 8th. It was a beautiful day. Then it got pretty stormy out. Saw the flower show today. Pretty cool event going on in Philadelphia. Love it. And just talked about some microgreens, a new topic, hobby that I'm interested in. Today, though, most interested. There's a lot of topics I feel like related, but it is June 2021. And we were told last year that this month there's going to be a whole bunch of documents released about UFOs, which, if it wasn't 2020 and 2021, would probably sound like the craziest thing ever, but it's on par for the course for what we're going through right now. I have no idea what to expect. I don't know how big of a deal this is. I don't know. It seems like it's a semi-big deal, but it could just be a bunch of nonsense. Who knows? I've actually seen, I believe, someone you're interested in, Sam Harris, and some of his colleagues talking about how it seems like some of this seems a little sketchy with like not having scientists involved and stuff like that. Then a few other things, just semi-related, we might not talk about. But Jeff Bezos is going to outer space. I feel like that's just kind of wild. Like I think he's gonna probably be like the first most popular celebrity to go up. Wild. And yeah, that's basically it. Space is a hot topic this year. What do you think, Jack, about the upcoming data release?
So they've already been releasing this stuff. That's why you're seeing these Navy footage of these unidentified flying objects, these UFOs that, uh, the picture quality may not be great. And there's some room to talk that with today's technology, you'd expect better quality. But like, you either think that this stuff is completely doctored and for some reason, like they're releasing it from these government agencies and it's they're tricking us, or like this shit's real. And the way that these things fly, we don't have the technological capabilities to fly aircraft like this, doing all these types of turns and slowing and stopping at these speeds. And there was one where it went into the water and there's no splash. I'm a big believer in aliens, and I literally from as long as I remember, I believe the aliens are real for one reason or another. And I like I'm almost amazed that like with some of the stuff that's being released, there's not more of a conversation about it, which
Yeah.
maybe is a conspiracy in and of itself. But like I'm definitely Team Earth, but aliens are out there.
I agree. I think it's a little frustrating that like it doesn't get more attention and that you get like treated as weird or crazy if you talk about it and think that they're real. So something that comes up, you might not be familiar with the name. I wasn't. I had to just look it up. It's Oumua, Amua, something like that. Oumuamua. So this is a fact. It was the first interstellar object to come into our solar system. This happened about like 4 years ago or so, right? So interstellar, what's that mean? It came from another star. So for something to come from another star and reach our solar system is a pretty dramatic event because when you're in a star's orbit, gravity is pulling you into that star. So you have to kind of force your way out of it, theoretically, or there might be a couple other ways, but that in itself is a pretty wild event. So when this object came, I believe it did something very, very unique as well, where it came like within us and the sun, but then got closer to the sun than Venus, and then shot back up out of the solar system. All right, so this was a wild event. I think it was also like the fastest thing to enter our solar system. Another crazy part of it. Real event actually happened. There's a guy at Harvard. So you imagine like people who work at Harvard are pretty respected in their field or whatever. There's a guy at Harvard who thinks that was aliens. And he's like, yo, that was unidentified object. Those were probably like aliens from another star. And everyone thinks he's crazy. Why is that? Because no one can explain what it was. So if you can't explain what it was, why do they automatically discount like the crazy?
Well, it also goes the other way where theoretically, if you don't know what something is, you shouldn't necessarily say it's aliens. It could literally be anything. It's just not what you know it to be. But I hear what you're saying. There's all sorts of interesting like conspiracy and theories out there. From aliens came back to help direct mankind's evolution, helping us build these pyramids and things like that. One of the crazy conspiracies I heard was that aliens like planted within us thousands of years ago to like seek out gold,
Mm,
and that like their plan was like this is going to be super expensive to like dig up gold ourselves and whatever. So let's just like convince humans for 5,000 years to like collect all the gold, and then we're going to come back and just swoop it from them because they did all the infrastructure, and like we'll be fine.
mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of like crazy conspiracies out there. At the end of the day, statistically, the universe is infinite, I think, or maybe it's collapsing. I think actually the universe at one point will start collapsing, and
Well,
I think that's part of.
there's also evidence though that the universe, the Big Bang, wasn't the beginning. Like it's like the second period. So we go out, then we expand, then it goes out and expands, and we're in like the second period supposedly. So that's gonna happen, and then it's gonna continue again.
Yeah. So, like, full stop. I think aliens exist. Now, when I say aliens, I mean there's just intelligent life, or excuse me, there's life
Mm-hmm.
outside of Earth at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Have aliens actually encountered us, like these UFOs and stuff like that? I'd say there's above 50% chance, like of yes, that's happened. One of the things which may be obvious, but like, it's worth saying nonetheless, is I'm not necessarily scared of them because if there was like intelligent life out there and they were visiting us, like they could destroy us whenever they felt like. This is not going to be a fight. This is not like cowboys versus aliens. Like if they have the technology to travel around the universe at whatever speeds and harness energy like that, then they can ward off our little pesky bullets and missiles and stuff. But so I overall don't think that they are that dangerous. But I think they're out there, man.
Yeah. So one of the head physicists, this Asian guy, I'm blanking on his name right now. He recently said actually he thinks that there's aliens, but he doesn't know if it's a great idea to reach out to them, or if we do reach out to them to like be very very careful with how we do it. So I think that's just interesting. Another thing I think I was thinking while I was talking is um, the possibility that aliens are already here and don't know it. Like, who's to say some people didn't derive from aliens? Or, like, another couple, these might be pretty far out thoughts, but, like, no one knows what the beginning is and all of that, so I don't think you can really discount them. Is, what if animals are natural, like other animals are natural to Earth, and humans are aliens? Because we're way different than anything else here. So, like, why are we way different? Maybe, I like all these movies and things in culture and stuff too, these concepts. I love thinking about them and seeing, like, where did those ideas come from? Why do they have them, and are they possible? Superman was, like, thrown here from, I don't know, actually, the story of Superman too well, but from what I remember, he came from Krypton or whatever, and like, was on a starship and crash landed here. Well, what if someone did that for humans because some other planet was going to be destroyed, and they reached Earth with absolutely no memory, no recollection, whatever, and like Adam and Eve or whatever it might be, and started human life? Like, who's to say that's not it? Another similar concept, and we'll see what you think about all my crazy thoughts, is what if we find it... so another, actually, I love... I'm super excited for event this year is the James Webb Telescope is going to be launched, which is going to be just huge for exploring outer space. It's going to be the most advanced telescope that's going to like sit behind the moon. It has to be in like negative 10,000 degrees or something, but it's going to be able to see farther away than we've ever seen and more detailed images than we've ever seen. We should be able to have a lot better info on like life out there and this and that. What if we see life on another planet and they're humans. That would be wild.
So a recent conspiracy theory that I've been messing around with is human beings, as anatomically we are today, first came about 300,000 years ago. And up until 6,000 years ago, that's when society began. Mm-hmm. Now, there's some theories about like the Sphinx in Egypt, and when you do certain geological testing, they're actually 10,000 years old. And so we need to move that date back. But even if you gave them 10,000 years, that's 290,000 years of just like unknown. Mm-hmm. And they're starting to do these scans of the Amazon rainforest where they're showing that like major cities may have been built there, or below, that the Amazon just ravaged. And part of the theory is that when Cortez and whatever other people came over in like the 1600s, and they saw these like lush, amazing cities and these cities of gold and whatnot, they went back to Europe. And then like 150, 200 years later, when people came back to like actually find them and stuff, that Cortez or whoever had actually spread like smallpox and just wiped out these areas, and people just like left the cities because like it was full of, you know, sick people and dying people, and the Amazon just completely took over. Now, I bring that up to say that nature is undefeated, right? And like nature can move super quickly. We don't really think about it, but like go to someone's backyard. It has like brick, but like has like cracks hanging out from it where like seeds can like be planted and stuff like that.
In 1 year.
Yeah. In 1 year, you're going to have like a 2-foot layer of like grass and weeds and stuff like that. And if you don't cut it, within a couple years, that whole area is going to be just overgrown. It's going to be like Jumanji style or whatever. And so this conspiracy theory basically goes, well, what if this isn't round one of human civilization? What if 200,000 years ago, 150,000 years ago, we got to this point, we screwed it up with nuclear warfare, you know, whatever else it was, and the Earth took us back, and the only people that survived were in I don't know, Africa or wherever else.
I kind of believe that. I don't believe anything. I believe the possibility of a lot of things. I'm not one to discount anything, and I can't prove anything. But I think that's definitely a possibility. And a story I really like kind of related to that is in ancient Indian scripture, there's actually talking or a text of basically like a nuclear catastrophe, which is like the way, I don't have the actual text, but the way they describe a nuclear catastrophe. And then there's actually evidence in some city in that region, maybe not India, but somewhere around there, where the entire village, the entire community, you can tell died at the same time. Why do you know that? Because there's people playing games, dead. There's people cooking, dead. There's people...
Like Pompeii.
Well, but I think Pompeii was a little bit like you even had evidence of running away because there's a blast.
Yeah.
There's not even evidence of that. There's no evidence of running. It's just a whole community dead like that. And who's to say that that's not like... That sounds like a nuclear event. It's in this text that also... what's it called? That talks about it or something like that. We don't know. That sounds related. Now, here's where I don't necessarily believe this, but I like these stories, and they're definitely a little creepy and interesting. So back to who's that like Nazi guy who worked for NASA, I believe, or no, maybe
Warren von Braun.
Warren von Braun. Actually, I have a story about Warren von Braun. I have actually a different story about Oppenheimer. This guy Oppenheimer, who was part of the Manhattan Project to build the nuclear bomb.
The atomic bomb, yeah.
Build the bomb. When they did the tests, the Manhattan Project, he mumbled under his breath the text from the Indian scripture, and basically said this isn't the first time, or like we're witnessing this nuclear event again, something along those lines. And a little creepy, and he obviously knew about this Indian text and was involved with the nuclear bomb, which is interesting. And then, just a little bit related, a little bit off though, is Warren von Braun had a couple creepy words or mentions when someone asked, like, hey, how were you guys at NASA? Someone said, hey, how were you guys so far advanced? Like, how did you guys know all about all of this? He kind of said, like, we had help. I don't know. That one's a little bit weird, whatever. But I think that there's definitely a possibility that a lot of what
yeah, just to, just to add some to what said comes from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, the whatever,
Bhagavad
BH,
Gita. Bhagavad
yeah.
Gita.
And the line he said is, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of the world," which is this ancient scripture. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to actually add the text for those listening.
No, definitely. And look it up if you are listening and interested in it. It's again, I don't believe, like, 100%. There's definitely a nuclear bomb 10,000 years ago, and we just saw it again, whatever. But I also don't discount that, like, we saw a lot of these technologies from back in the day, and it's possible we just, like, we don't remember everything.
Yeah. So, and what I was getting as well with the fact that, like, this could be round two of civilization is that nature moves super quickly. Like, aliens might just have been us 150,000 years ago, getting off this rock and, traveling around. And now they're, like, just kind of checking in on the next iteration of us.
Right.
Who knows? There's a conspiracy. This is pretty wild. There's a conspiracy theory out there that the Nordics, the tall blonde people of Scandinavia, that's like an alien group of people.
That's actually something I've, like, thought before, is, like, what if, I think we're all humans, I think everyone's the same, but what if all these different types of humans, the Nordics, the Europeans, the Africans, the Asians, what if they were all aliens from different areas that kind of met up on Earth? That'd be pretty interesting, if we really did have, like, different origins or something.
Maybe.
That could get me canceled, so I'm gonna I'm gonna say I can take that back if people don't like that.
Yeah, is for as long as there's been humans, there's been people looking up into the skies and into the stars and thinking, what if? And it's perhaps the most human thing to, like, look up there and wonder, like, does other life exist? Are we alone on this planet? And one day, I think we're going to be able to answer this question, or there is going to be no civilization to talk about, whatever. But
Yeah.
until that day comes, it's always cool to ponder. My question I have to you is, if and when we discover, like, unanimously, like, they come to us, and whether it's peaceful or, like, whatever, like, do you think that's going to be a unifying event? Do you think people are going to, like, put aside their differences, or, like, do you think we're just going to kill each other?
Yeah, I've wondered that. Based on the last year or two, I don't think we're unifying ever. I can't see us unifying. I just can't. We have too many differences that we don't even, like, listen to each other on. Where if it happened, maybe we would get into smaller groups. It'd be like 2 or 3 groups instead of however many there are right now. But there'd be some people who'd say blast the aliens, and other people who would say be nice to them, and we would end up fighting over that.
Yeah, I guess I'm more of the camp of be nice to the aliens because they definitely have better technology than us.
Yeah, me too. I'll be nice, or hopefully they'll, like, accept some traitors if they want. Something like
Yeah.
that. Here's my question. Damn, I had a last... so do you think... this is my last question, closing question for you, is do you think... There's some people who say that this is all a waste of money, because they're like, there's people hungry, and why are we sending people out of outer space to... I guess that's not exactly the UFOs, but, like, why are we researching outer space? We have enough problems down here. I don't really agree with that. I think we learn a lot from outer space about here, so it's important. But... my question is, there's over 80% of prokaryote cells, which are basically like what we are, like cells that have a nucleus and are like living cells, over 80% haven't been discovered on Earth yet. Should we be focusing more on discovering everything on Earth before we go discovering things from outer space that it's a lot harder to figure out?
You know, we know more about outer space than we know about the deep ocean, so it's a similar question. Uh, you know, the older I've gotten, the more I've been into having more of a return to nature, less interested in living in New York City and places like that, more wanting to grow my own food, have like more of a natural backyard. And so there is a part of me that's the conservationist. During my first year of law school, I worked for a nonprofit called Veterans Empowered to Protect African Wildlife that basically got U.S. Military veterans, and they went over to Tanzania to help train anti-poaching local forces with basically military skills so that they could hunt the poachers instead of the poachers hunting the animals to help prevent them from poaching. And I think that's really cool because I think we need to preserve. Sorry, dogs are crazy.
All good. All right, so
I think all I'm getting is I think we need to preserve what we have here, and I think there's a lot to learn, and that's great. With that being said, if we found another planet that had life the way we have life, imagine the variations of species we could find and the things that they could do.
No, definitely, and also to think in just a grand scheme of things.
Give me a second. Sorry, I gotta see what's going on here.
No problem.
Just take 5, everyone. Sorry.
I'll talk for them. In the grand scheme of things, when we go forward billions of years, the sun is going to explode. So when the sun explodes, we obviously won't be living. I know that's a far, far, far way out, but we obviously eventually need to find a way off of this planet and out of this solar system if we ever wanted to extend the human race and continue living. It is 22 minutes into, and we will cut this part out.
Hey, buddy, I gotta. A guy's here. I gotta take care of this.
No
I
problem.
apologize.
We'll close out
later. Okay.
Great talk. Peace. See you later.
Yep. See ya.
All right, so that was a great episode. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. There's always going to be interesting things like that happen. Peace.